Hola, everybody. I'm trying to get the Facebook stream to. It's not too bad. It's a little cloudy. Hi, everyone. I know we're supposed to be looking facing the. Okay. All right. I don't know if this is gonna work. We're supposed to be facing the sun. Hola. All right, I'm working with the Facebook one. See if that's gonna work here. Sorry. Hi, everybody. Yep, that was a good idea. Wasn't a great idea to do the Facebook. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Ooh, better hide this. Okay, got my fan blowing on me. How's everybody doing? I know last week I only did the YouTube. Hi, Tia. Deborah, my friend. She's always here with me. Um, Arta. Okay. Robin. Hola. Nurse Clayton, I've seen you. You back. Hello. Anita, you doing well? Awesome. Tia, just got back from Panama and 10 minutes ago uploaded your first video. Woo! Congrats. Cynthia, hola. Deborah, my friend, yes. Oh, Deborah is bringing me. Is it a Dutch oven? I'm so excited. Can't wait. Yes. And yesterday I got my Riesling, so I'm sipping today. Yes. Hi, everybody. Ditch 11 factor. Wow. Hola. Sometimes people would send me like a friend's request, and I can't even see a picture. I mean, if you're that spooked about putting your picture out there, I can't be your friend if I can't see what you look like. Love all your tips and honesty. Wonderful. Listen, I am as real as they come. What you see is what you get, no filter. Of course, I have a clean speech. I don't like to curse or do anything like that, but we don't talk politics. We don't demean others. We don't talk about other people. Mm-mm. We're just about business. It's like the last video I did this week was like about if you feel pressure to leave and then you're just not sure if you can make it. So we talked about some, things that maybe initially I would say, no, 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 you have to get this taken care of, that taken care of. But right now it's like we may have not have time to do all that. So how can we make an exit? Because for a lot of our sisters, it's a matter of mental health, right? So I am very empathetic about what some folks are feeling. And at the end of the video, one of the options I talked about was a sabbatical. Sometimes you just need to get away for a little while. You need to get away because it's not worth it, losing your mind and just letting that situation just stress you out. Sometimes we just have to make an exit for a little bit, and then you can kind of recalibrate and then see. And then when you're away from the situation, it's a lot easier for you to be more objective and say, oh, okay, let me look at it from afar and see. All right. So, ladies, you know the drill. I'm here to answer your questions. I'm not going to assume that if you ask me, I'll be glad to answer based on my experience. And of course, everybody's experience is different. And as I said before, I came to Panama to visit, fell in love with the country, explored other places, and then when it was time to retire, I chose to come here. And I did not do a relocation tour. Sometimes people ask me, what do you think? And I said, it depends. If you someone, let's say right now in this situation, you don't have a lot of time, you want to get out early, as soon as you can. Yes, a relocation tour might make sense for you because they're going to give you all the information in one swoop. You're going to go visit different parts of the country. They have different people come talk to you, immigration, insurance, doctors. That way you can get a lot of information. When I was considering Panama, I wanted to do a tour and I signed up with, I'm not going to say who it was, and I gave my deposit. But when I was reading the contract, there's an agreement that you have to sign. There was some language in there I was not comfortable with. Yeah, I'm a businesswoman, right? And it was a business associate agreement. And it said, if in the future you choose to do anything that could be considered competitive with our business, we reserve the right to sue you for like $300,000. You have to sign basically a non-compete. And I'm like, I just want a tour. I'm not doing business with you. What do you mean? So I called and I said, do I have to sign this? And then the gentleman said, yes, you have to sign. I said, well, then I can't sign it because I am not signing that because I don't want anybody holding me hostage just for me to pay you my money to do a tour. But it's got its purpose for some people. And then if you have the money, to spend, and I'm cheap, so it was like, I don't think so. I think I can find that out for myself. And I've been here almost 3 years, so I have to tell you, I don't feel like if I had done a tour, it would have benefited me personally, because I'm a researcher. I like to find things out for myself, and I think I've done pretty good. So I'm not saying it's yay or nay. And also, one of the benefits that I think from doing a tour is that you make lifelong friendships. And a lot of the ladies and gentlemen and families who come on those tours, when they do decide to come, then they have people that they do the kumbaya and they get together. So I think that particular benefit I think is worthwhile. But is it worthwhile almost $2,000? I don't know. I don't know. I'll let you be the judge. And someone said, if there is a question in the chat for me to repeat the question, so I will be glad to do that. I take your advice under consideration. Buenas noches, Lynette. It's not noches yet, darling. It's only 4 o'clock. So you say, buenas tardes, senora. This was my first trip to Panama. Yes, it was serving triple duty, explore, relax, and get away. Yes. Awesome. That's a perfect plan. Yes. Thank you in advance. Lynette, yes. I've been there 3 years. I know, right? Time flies. It's going to be 3 years in January. Yes, Q&A. So this is, send your question. This is what I'm here for. I don't know everything, of course, and what I know is what I share. I never pretend to know more than I actually do. I'm actually very humble that way. And if I don't know something, I will be glad to tell you. I will try to find out for you. Darn it, darn it. Was it about the Spanish? Estoy tratando de perfeccionar mi español. Está bien, entiendo, entiendo. Listen, I have a 10 o'clock class on Saturday. Let me tell you, those ladies and I have the best time, especially one sister. She's usually in the chat, Greta. Greta was like, Lord of the conjugation when we talk about verb conjugation. It is so funny. But I'm forcing them to talk. And then I spoke to a sister this morning and she has some knowledge of Spanish. And I said, well, maybe I can come up with something like we do, like a community online forum where we just converse, in Spanish, just to kind of continuing to improve. Because a lot of time, words and stuff like this lady said, I know 2,000 words. I just can't put 3 of them together. Having a lot of vocab doesn't help you if you can't make a sentence up. Oh my God. Do you spend time going to beaches? If so, what are your favorites? I'm not really a beach person, but when I made my 3 trips to Panama before I retired, I made a point to visit some beaches. One of the closest ones here is oh, what is it? Oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank. I want to say Daytona Beach, but it's not. But there is Playa Blanca that is, let's say 15, 20 minutes. Oh, Taboga Island. Taboga Island is one of the first ones that people go to. It's a 30-minute ferry ride. It's a nice little beach, but I would not gauge Panama beaches on that because it's not that great. I think San Blas definitely has to be the prettiest beaches on the Pacific side because we also have the Caribbean side. And I know personally, I think the beaches on the Caribbean side are prettier, but it's a matter of debate. There is Isla Mamey on the Caribbean side. It's okay, but I think San Blas is still prettier. But you got to take a boat ride, and sometimes that boat is just doing this, and I don't do well with that. I'm like holding on for dear life. I get there, I enjoy myself, then I'm like, oh, we got to go back. People talk about Isla Contadora. I haven't been there. I went to a beach outside of David, Playa La Barqueta. I like that one. It's a really nice beach. And for Mother's Day, we're going to be going to Playa Venal, which they tell me is gorgeous. So just it's a matter of preference, but I would say right now my favorite would be um, not Taboga, but San Blas Island. It's an archipelago. They have multiple beaches. But one of the ones that I really like that kind of left an impression on me is Vena Azuelas. It's past Colon, past Portobello. And again, they take you through the marshes, in the boat. And then they have multiple little islands off of that beach. And Venas Azuelas mean, blue veins in English. It was a very family oriented. It was very quiet. The water wasn't rough. So San Blas, hands down. How far out from the city is Panama Oeste? It depends where on Panama Oeste. I took the bus. I don't drive here to not Arahan, La Chorrera, and it was like a 45-minute bus ride. But the bus usually made a couple of stops. So if you were driving, hi Patricia, she's watching on YouTube. Hola, my friend, mi amiga. It would be, I would say, 45 minutes. You know, but that Pan American Highway can be a bear. During rush hour, yesterday we had a deluge. Let me tell you, it was a tsunami. It rained nonstop for hours. I got caught in it because I was meeting with a sister. Then I decided to go to the store. Then the heavens opened. And then I was standing there at the metro station. We couldn't get out, couldn't get out. Well, rain, rain, rain. And when it got to be a little bit low, I said, I gotta go. So I was wet, and I tell the sisters to stay indoors when it rains. It wasn't that I got out while it was raining, I got caught in it. Um, so if you are on the Pan American Highway, because that is the main highway to go in and out, and there's an accident and now it's open. Before we had construction. Oh my God, it was awful. And even then, this lady said she went to Coronado the other day, which is an hour and a half. You still have to come this way. And she said she was on the road for 3 hours. So it depends. But if you're just timing it, if you were to put it in Google Maps, you'll be like 45 minutes. Arahan, Costa Verde, all these areas are in Panama Oeste. I studied up on my Spanish before coming and did my best. Good, good. Listen, it takes practice, right? Practice makes perfect. I've heard that it's great when you meet weekly to converse when learning a new language. Well, I think that's probably what we're going to do. So if we do decide on a day, I'll be sure to post it So you guys can just join, because with my Zoom account, I can have up to 100 people on my live. How did you find your apartment? Oh, did I miss? Yeah. How did you find your apartment? Okay, remember I came here in 2023 in January, and I was supposed to go to the Peace Corps in November of that year, or August actually, August. So I had a 6 month lease, which is not easy to find because most of the owners would rather you do a 1 year lease. Of course, it makes sense from a business standpoint. But this apartment, my attorney had a friend who had a friend, so I was able to get a 6 month lease. Of course, when you're doing a 6 month lease, they're going to charge you a little bit more because they feel like they're losing by allowing you to stay for 6 months. So that's the way I found the first one, right? Now, when I came back from the Peace Corps in November of that year, I stayed with my friend Sonia for 3 weeks while we looked around. The best way we looked at, not the, I mean, the most efficient way we looked at was through Encuentra 24, www.encuentra, the number 24.com. It's like almost like a multiple listing service, and you can sort apartments based on your parameters, location, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms. You could do, we don't do square footage here, we do square meters depending on how big you want. I didn't want big. You could also sort by location. When you talk to people here, they'll say El Congrejo, San Francisco, Bella Vista, Balboa, Costa del Este. I haven't searched Panama Oeste for the person who asked me that. So I would not be looking at Arahan or La Chorrera or Costa Verde. Mm-mm. So I did not. So because I had been here 3 times before, I knew where I wanted to look. I knew I wanted a water view. You have to put in there what you want. And also, you want to tell, when you're sorting, do you want a PH, which is a building? Do you want 24-hour security? Do you want your building to have a gym? Do you want your building to have a swimming pool? Because some people like to swim, especially if you have arthritis. It's good for you to swim in the water. So once you do that, you sort it, and then you're going to get your apartment. Now you can look at them. They usually have a virtual, recording. You can look at the apartment, but don't base everything on what you see, because those photographers are really good at making, taking the angle, making everything look really, really good. So once you find, maybe 3 or 4 that catch your eye, and there's always a message button underneath the listing. And when you contact, it goes straight to the realtor. So the realtor will, of course, WhatsApp. In Panama, everything is done through WhatsApp, okay? I'm just telling you. So you communicate with the realtor, you set up a time to visit. Sometimes you set like 3 or 4 in that general area, and then they take you around and they show you the apartments. So that's what we did for days. We went to different areas, look at different things, and walk around, look to see the walkability, stores, what else is around the area. And that's when we zeroed in on this apartment. And once you say you like the apartment, then the realtor is going to contact the owner. Most of the apartments here are not owned by corporations, right? They are privately owned, and the contract, everything is going to be signed by the owner. And I'm working on my resource guide, and in that resource guide, I'm going to give you a checklist of things you need to look for when you're looking for an apartment. That's why people who say they come here sight unseen, I'm like, you're a better person than I am. I couldn't do it. I have to touch, I have to see, I have to smell, with my flashlight. You don't want to miss anything, right? And that goes even before you looking at the contract itself, to make sure you read it. Have it translated in English so you know what's what. Your responsibility, the terms, when you can leave, how much notice you need to give, and what are those things that would make you say, no, I'm not staying here anymore. So understand that it's a legal document. So that's how I find my apartment. But we also recommend that you work with the realtor. Sometimes, if you find a realtor, and we always give you a couple of names, you also tell them what your choices are, your must haves, because a pool, like for me, that's not a deal breaker, right? But for you, it might be. And the realtor knows about apartments that might be available and not listed on that website. So the inventory is a lot more than what you see listed on Encuentra 24, okay? So it probably is helpful for you to work with the realtor. With your budget, if you tell them this is my top, then they'll be able to find you what you want, what you need. Me encantaría eso. Sounds like me. Okay, I studied up on my Spanish before coming. Great, great. Learn how to converse at the airport, if you lose your luggage, if you have a question. But of course, at the airport, they use Google Translate too when they see you come. It's great when you meet weekly. Yes. Hi, Maggie. Hello. Hello, Crystal. McSwain, TIM, Sunblast. Yes, Sunblast. Well, I don't know. I think everybody who comes to Panama should go to Sunblast because it's an indigenous land. I don't know if you know. Panama has multiple indigenous groups, but they have 7 major ones. And out of the 7, there are 3 most major ones. And those Sunblast Island are on indigenous land of the Gunayala indigenous group. So before you can't just get in your car and say, I'm going to Sunblast. It doesn't work like that. You have to you got to go with a guide. The guide has to have permission from the chief. And I think they have to pay like an entrance fee. And then there are rules, right? They have their people put you on the boat to take you around. And then they usually feed you lunch, an indigenous type lunch. And usually it's like, of course, fish, rice with cocoa, and a little bit of salad, right? So it's very well organized. And we have to show respect to the group because even though they're Panamanians, but they have a lot of their own personal rules that we have to go by. I stayed on the beach in San Carlos for a couple of days. It was nice. Yeah. But I don't know, for me, I couldn't be in the beach community. I love the beach when I go on vacation, but I need more. So that's why I prefer to be in the city. I want to be able to get down and then go right, left, catch a Uber, catch a bus, go on the metro. There's so much going on in this city. No. Edith was asking, how did you go about finding your apartment? I answered that, I think. Hola, Greta. What's something about you, my friend? Peaceful butterfly. Wow. Hello, I have pets. Your children. How easy it is to bring them to Panama. I wouldn't say it's hard. I rehomed my dog before I came in. Please don't make any negative comment. This person said to me one time in my comments, when I said I rehomed my dog, she said, I don't know if it was a he or she sent me the message to say, oh, I cannot believe you left your pet. You're a horrible human being. I'm so happy you left the country. I'm like, nice to meet you too. Thank you. I mean, come on. They do have services of people who would help you to bring your pets around. Now, you can go on the embassy website here, Panama Embassy. They have a section about how to bring your pets to Panama. Also, Panama Relocation Tours, if you go to their website, Panama Relocation Tour.1 and then .com, and then you put pet relocation, she has a whole article about that. You have to have your paperwork. The thing with the pets here is that there's a timing of the paperwork. Certain things cannot be too old, right? And they have to have all their shots and stuff. So, and then when they come here, they have to quarantine for so many days. All right. Now, those are Panama requirements. Then you have to watch for the airline requirement. Whichever airline you are flying, then you need to go on their website and and check out their requirements. And you got to meet both. That's why a lot of people just hire someone here that would walk them through the procedure, make sure they have the paperwork on time, carrier, whatever you're supposed to carry them in. Some pets can go under your seat, some pets have to go in cargo, and it has to go on the about the size of your animal. I have a video. There's a lady here with a company called Pets Go Global. Is it Marcia? And she also helps you with that. Now there is a cost associated, of course. It's not going to be for free. And I had a lady in one of my Spanish classes. She's like, "Oh, I did it. I can tell you how to do it." Sometimes somebody can show you how to do it. But I know lots of people here have brought their pets, and Panama is very dog friendly. I don't say pet friendly because they don't like cats here. You can bring your cats, but they love dogs. And we have dogs. Most of the buildings are pet friendly, right? The cats are like homeless. I say, we feed them around, but they don't bring them home. And I'm a cat person, so. But it can be done, but it will cost you a little bit of money. I don't know how much, but you're going to pay to bring your pet. But you can. Lots of people bring their pets. Which location do you recommend to live? Well, I'm telling you, I live on Balboa Avenue, which is a very popular area. Most of our apartments, we have an ocean view, right? So you pay a little bit for that, of course. San Francisco is very popular. It is kind of a foodie town. It's got lots of restaurants, and they have Parque Omar, which is like a pride and joy of Panama, a huge park right in the middle of the city. And it's like to go around, it's like 3 point some miles. So it's a good workout with some hilly areas. So good. Lots of ladies go walk that park. In fact, there's a lady called Malvina. She has a group that walks it every Friday morning. And there's another sister who has another group. So, they're trying to get their exercises in. It's a foodie town, walkable. Sidewalks in Panama are iffy. So you always have to watch where you go in so you don't break something. People have broken ankles and elbows. Costa del Este has the best sidewalks because it's one of the newer planned communities. So some sisters like Costa del Este because it's kind of a little shinier. Some people say it reminds them of Miami Beach. I personally never felt the connection to Costa del Este, but shh, if I say that to some people, they're gonna say, "Well, that's your choice." I know, that's why I'm not there. No shame. I just don't like it. It doesn't feel right to me. I want neighborhood feel, not that, spanky, shiny. Plus, it's a little bit outside the city. If you in Costa del Este, you want to come to the city, you're going to drive, and the Uber is going to be a bit more expensive because it's like 20 minutes out. Andrea, oh my good friend. Oh, I miss you so much, Andy. I don't like it when that happens. I want to put your face. There she is. Oh, that's my good friends. We were in the ICU together. Smart nurse practitioner. Yes, it's not hard, but it can be done. Do you think I can use my Panama T-Mobile SIM card while in Bogota? Wow, that is a good question. I don't know. This is a question I would put to someone in a Facebook group. They would tell you because Bogota is really close. I know when I went to Costa Rica, I couldn't use my phone. I had to get another SIM card. And we're talking about what, $7, $10? Just get another SIM card, put it in there, and you're good to go. I did the same thing when I was in Peru. I just bought a SIM card for so many days, and then I was good. Don't make it difficult, okay? Mine are gonna stay with their grandma for a while until I get settled. That's fine. That's fine. And your pets are your babies. I get that. And I have a sister here who has a service dog, and wherever she goes, she tells me she was in Africa, wherever she took her dog with her wherever she went. But you got to be ready to pay for it. Yes. You have a cat and two dogs. It's fine. I'm just saying generally. It's like when I was in Africa, people don't like cats. They associate cats with all kind of spiritual thing, and it's like, mm-mm. And this lady said she had a nice cat, and she was looking for the cat, couldn't find the cat, couldn't find the cat. Turns out they put it in a spigot and roasted it. So I know it's not something nice, but people don't think about cats like they do about dogs. And some cultures don't like dogs either. So don't assume, but I'm just telling you here, they love dogs. We have lots of dog parks, and everybody in their apartments have dogs. So you have no problem with dogs. And your cat would be like a queen because there aren't that many of them. Just don't let her out. What precautions are in place for temporary blackout, like what occurred in the Yucatan, Mexico on Friday? Phones, electricity. Again, it depends on where you put yourself, where you land. That's another thing on your checklist for your apartment. You want to know, is there a backup generator? Do they have like a water tank? I do in my building. That is something you need to ask for. If the power goes out here, which is not very often, within like 10 seconds, the generator kicks in and no problem. But the further you are from the city, yes, you have what we call apagados. That means cuts where the electricity goes down. If you have a generator wherever you are, let's say in Panama Oeste, you're good. Now, the internet, there's nothing you can do about that because when it's really, really hot here, in fact, one time we were having a lot of problem with the internet, and then someone said because it was so hot, the heat affected the towers, and then that was what's causing a lot of the apagados. Well, we can't help that. One day the internet didn't work from like maybe 7 o'clock at night. I went to bed, it was still out. It came back sometime in the middle of the night. So I kind of worry about people who are internet dependent. Let's say it's because of your job, and then sometimes because I remember in Africa it was something people complain about. Oh, I'm in a webinar, or I have this meeting going on, and then the internet is out. Listen, sis, this is something that can happen. We have different providers here in Panama. There is Tigo, that's what I have, and it's been giving some difficulties. But I'm not internet dependent, so I'm like, well, it's out. Well, let me do something else, right? T-Mobile has been trying to get me to switch, and someone said they're about the same. But the one thing that people are saying, excuse me, in some area they're using Starlink. Starlink, you know who owns Starlink. So, but they say it is the best internet they've had. Electricity, again, I mentioned that. The further you are inside the country, things can happen. You just have to prepare for it. Lots of candles, uh, generators, fans. Make sure you have extra, like maybe an extra tank for water. Some places they get rainwater, right? So yeah, you just have to prepare for those eventualities. Let's say community feel. A neighborhood feels, yes. Yeah, that's important. Hello, sister, watching you from Florida. Hola, we're in Florida. I'm in Central Florida. My house is still there. Greta Cup. Oh my goodness. Okay, Greta. What was the goodness in reference to? Transportation of pets seems like the hardest part. I don't know if it's the hardest, and I can't really say because I did not bring my pet here. But I think people a lot of time are chasing that paperwork. I mean, if it was me, I would just hire someone. And in my resource guide, I'm going to have like three, contacts you can call, and then see how much it's going to cost you. There's a sister who was thinking of bringing her dog, but the cost was prohibitive, so she had to rehome that dog. Those are tough decisions. Listen, just like you leave family, you leave, you get rid of your stuff, it's going to be an emotional stuff for you. It will. But here they take care of the pets. They have daycare for them. They have hotels. We have parks, and they walk the dog. And all the buildings have like little areas where you can get free bags to pick up after the dog. Of course, not everybody does. So depending on where you go, you're gonna have to step, step, step. And in the country, the dogs roam free, okay? I want you to know that. You go to El Valle, the dogs are in the stores. They just kind of like Mexico. I heard about Mexico. They go and nobody pays them any attention. Everybody's feeding them. They don't belong to anybody. But in the city, they have to be on a leash. Although, one day in my area, I was walking, and then out of the corner of my eye, I see a dog just run. And I'm like, how come this dog is running? Wasn't on a leash. That dog made a beeline for a smaller dog that this lady was walking and took a bite out of it. And the little dog started screaming, and the lady was screaming and crying, grabbed her little poodle and was holding the little dog, and that other dog was jumping around her trying to get to that little dog, just like you see online at the dog park, bigger dog attacking smaller dogs. So always be aware. I'm like, oh, I was shook. I'm like, why would you take the dog off the leash? And it went and took a bite out of that little dog. The little dog was screaming. I was like, oh my god, oh my god. That's terrible. Oh, you're welcome, Miss Greta. Leesburg. Oh, I am in Claremont. I went to see a nurse practitioner in Leesburg. I used to drive to Leesburg all the time. The cooking of the cat. Listen, Greta, wasn't it there's a place where they eat dogs, and there's a place east in Asia where they what's the word? They raise rats and stuff like that. I was in Peru. They had what is it again? It's a delicacy. Oh, guinea pigs. Yes. To me, they look like big rats. And then someone told me, he's like, well, if you went to visit anybody and they give you one, it's because it's a sign of honor. I said, well, thank you very much. I can't eat that. So I didn't try. Nor did I eat the worms in South Africa. They tried to get me saying, oh, protein, so good. I'm like, no. And Panama has a pig feet thing that's pickled called sow. The locals absolutely love it. You cook the pig feet and then you pickle it in vinegar and onions and cucumbers, and I mean they love it. And I'm like, more for you, more for you. Respectfully, but I don't eat everything. I don't eat raw fish, raw anything. So, what about food prices? You're going to save money if you eat at home and if you eat healthy. If you're going looking for fresh fruits and vegetables, definitely you see an improvement in the prices. But if you're going inside a food store, I don't see much difference. The meat's going to be expensive, especially if you're looking for American style brands of cereals and stuff, bacon, cheeses, berries, very pricey. Yeah. So here, I get a bag of tomatoes for $1. You're looking for spinach, is very affordable. I buy a big old bunch of Swiss chard for $1. Potatoes are not expensive. Garlic is very cheap. Sweet potatoes are not like our sweet potatoes, but they're kind of okay. They eat a lot of yam here. They call it nyame. Yuca is pretty cheap because they eat a lot of yuca and plantains here, bananas. The Panamanian diet is not big on greens, but it is available. Beets, rumalacha, cucumbers, abundant. I eat a lot of eggplants, carrots. If you whole food plant based, you're gonna be good. They eat a lot of rice here, so rice is abundant. Okay, but if you're looking for quinoa, you're gonna pay for quinoa or any kind of other grains. Beans, lots of beans, no problem. So if you are vegan, vegetarian, like I am, whole food plant based, you're gonna be good because my budget doesn't include meat. I don't have to buy meat. So, but I've been preaching to you that you shouldn't be watching prepackaged food. That's what's pricey. So if you eat fresh, yes, you're going to be saving some money. We'll be back in PC in January. Good. I like San Francisco, yes, because of Parque Omar. And then if you're in a building and you're looking over Parque Omar, there's always entertainment. They have concerts and there's a lot of things. Let me tell you, this city pops. So much going on. There's always something going on at Parque Omar, whether it's like a health fair, it's a free concert, or one day they had like a mass. The priest, the archbishop was in there, doing mass. Lots. Because you have to understand about Panamanians. They live. Okay? They work to live, not the other way around. So on the weekends, everybody's off and popping, going to the beach, the music and drinking and eating. Okay? So that's very important in this culture. It's not work, work, work like you used to. My current expenses are my house mortgage and my car. Do you have recommendation for downsizing? How long before relocating should I give myself for selling my home? Whew, sister, I have been trying to sell my home for 3 years. I went back in February, spruced it up, spent money, and I was watching the market because I was like, okay, my house was on the market for 100 days, not one offer, and I dropped the price twice. So I don't know where you are in the country. Some areas, the housing market in Florida is not good. So I don't know. Either some other sisters here have sold their home, like in North Carolina, if you are in California or somewhere east, yes. And in terms of timeline, it depends. It's up to you. When I knew I was going to retire here in Panama, I gave myself a couple of years. And what I wanted to do is make sure my mortgage, I could decide to sell the house or I could decide to lease it. I had that option, okay? And rental is still popular because so many people can't afford to buy because one, they may not have the down payment, and two, the interest rates was crazy, and maybe three, their credit score may not be up to par. So if you have a house and you want to rent it, you want to lease it, chances are you'll be able to. Okay. My car, that was the other thing. I had a leased car and my lease was coming up in a year, but I knew I wasn't going to be ready for another year. So I turned the lease in, and then I was like, I don't want to take another lease because I was going to be 3 years and I knew I wasn't going to be there for 3 years. So I did some research and found a what we call subscription program through Volvo, where I could get a brand new Volvo. I could keep the car for a minimum of 3 months, but I could keep it up to 2 years. And the price they quoted me, including, was like a lease, plus they pay the insurance for it. And those services, service call, maintenance, that was included. So I kept the car for the extra year that I had. And then when I was ready, my bags were packed. I just walked myself to the Volvo, handed the keys, just signed a paper. There was a $300 early turn-in fee or something. I paid that. They took the key and I walked out, took an Uber, went home. Next day, took another Uber to the airport. And then the whole time you're downsizing, right? So you have to do that timeline in your head to see where you are, how you're going to divest yourself of your car, or divest yourself of your house, what you're going to do with your house, right? You can start listing the house, gauge the market, and see, okay? So it's hard for me to tell you a timeline, but I think a realistic timeline is a couple of years if you have those two things that you have to worry about. Plus, you got to get rid of all your stuff. That takes time. And plus the emotional thing you go through when you're giving away your stuff. I ended up sleeping in my closet for like maybe 2-3 weeks before I had to leave. Because when I posted my bedroom on Facebook Marketplace, and when they came and took the bed and everything, then I was like, okay, how am I going to sleep? I slept in my closet. Got to be flexible, sis. I went in an Asian market last week. They have full bags of vegetables. Yeah. I get my vegetables at the farmer's market. And here in Panama, we have what we call fruterias. Fruterias is where they have open air where you can buy fresh fruit straight from the farms, and they're usually a lot cheaper. In the city, even close to San Francisco, they have a place called Donde Ayer or Averi or something like that. They have multiple ones, and you can go in there and you find all kinds of things. They have beautiful squash uh, and even bok choy, because Panama is very Chinese focused, so they have a lot of Chinese stuff. Bok choy, which I love, and that's really cheap, really cheap. What's that green curry cooking sauce that some fondas there use to cook the chicken? The green, well, Panama's, maybe you're talking about the sancocho. Panama's national dish is a soup called sancocho. Sancocho is made of chicken. Culantro. Culantro is different from cilantro. It's like a leafy thing, and they put a lot of it in there. So maybe that's what you're talking about. And then it's got that yam in it, and that's it. And then oregano. It's chicken, ñame, the yam, culantro, and oregano. That's the classic sancocho, which I make a good one. And Panamanians tell me it's really good. So, whew, I'm proud of myself. Hola, Auntie. I was cutting up a pineapple yesterday while watching one of your videos. It was dry. Oh no! The pineapple is amazing here. And it's always in season, which is unusual because the avocado is not, mango is not, but the pineapple, papaya, oranges. There's a lot of mandarins here, and grapes. Panama is really big on grapes, green grapes, red grapes. Kiwi is abundant. Pears, apples abundant and affordable. Okay, so the berries, I don't buy them because I'll buy a small around the holidays if I'm going to make a pie or something. I have company because I don't break that for myself. But you can buy a little thing of blackberries for like $8, and I'm like, no. And bacon is super expensive. But who wants to eat bacon? Bad food. You in Los Angeles, peaceful. Oh, awesome. Oh no, the pineapple is juicy. When I went to Hawaii, I thought Hawaii had the best pineapple until I got here. The pineapple is amazing. You know what? The fruit was amazing in Peru too. I think it's South America, Central America. It's amazing. It might be the soil. Yeah. Uh, I do have a question about the dress. I remember watching a video saying that they're kind of very conservative. Yes, they are. I'm a mini skirt. Ooh. Yeah, you're gonna have trouble here. So no go. I wouldn't do it just because I'm thinking you got to show respect for the culture, right? You come, especially I don't know how old you are. In Panama, they have a lot of respect for the elderly, right? So if I get on a bus, not the bus, usually the metro, and my gray hair shows, and I'm standing, a young person or a man would almost, not always, get up and say, Senora, they say sit, they give their seat, because that's part of the Panamanian culture. If a woman who's pregnant shows up, everybody jumps, she's gonna sit. If somebody gets on the train, they have a small child, somebody would get up and let them sit on the bus as well. That's just culture. So the dress code is for somebody my age like this, I probably wouldn't go out wearing something like that, right? Because it's just, they would automatically assume I'm a foreigner, right? So who wants to attract attention to yourself by your dress? Short shorts, older people, you're gonna see somebody wearing shorts, maybe it would be a young person. Once in a while, you don't see guys wearing shorts, maybe on the weekends if they're going to the beach or to a party, but the dress code is very conservative. Someone like me would have shirts with like a short sleeve. They wear jeans a lot, and they'll have uh, shirt, skirts below their knees. Now, I have bought a bunch of these long skirts just because I like them. You're gonna see that, but you're not gonna see people with strapless and cleavage showing. Like some old ladies with their belly buttons hanging. Mm-mm, no. A lot of time, if you see that, that's somebody who's not from here. But I admonish anybody coming here, look around you and see, and then adjust. Okay, you don't want people to kind of give you a second look, even though they don't stare, but they might look. Because the few times that I've seen somebody in the streets with their butt cheeks hanging, no bueno. Even though it's warm in your house, you could wear whatever you want. It's not, nobody's going to tell you not to wear it. I'm just telling you, it's to me, it's not adjusting to the culture to show that if you're an older person, by the way you dress, it attracts that level of respect, right? Okay, I hope I'm not sounding like a goody two shoe. I'm just saying that they're kind of conservative that way. All right. Now on the weekends, if you go to a concert at Parque Omar, you'll see some people in shorts. You see some young people with their belly button, but they're young, right? So yeah. Anyway, that's just my observation. You love bok choy? Yes, they love bok choy here, and it's very cheap. I remember going to the Asian store in Orlando. They were pricey. Not here. Not here. Uh, Do you have sour sap? Yes, Guanabana. We have sour sap. It's a little pricey. Everything gets weighed in Panama. You don't pay $2 for an avocado. They weigh the avocado. They weigh bananas. They weigh avocado. They weigh mangoes. I was like, what? I went into a place of a nice mango, and he put it on the scale. And I'm like, what? And then he said $3.95. I'm like, excuse me, for one mango? No bueno. No, thank you. Mm-mm. I'm too cheap for that. If it's not mango season, I don't need it. I know. Oh, Amy, you my friend. Thank you for watching. I appreciate that. Unfortunately, I'm in the DC area planning, researching an escape plan. Let me tell you, it's a lot these days. But I said, sis, if it affects your mental health, consider a sabbatical. When you come here on a tourist visa, you get 6 months. You can rent an apartment. You could stay in Airbnb. A lot of people are doing the co-living thing, so you can make it work. No car. Mm-mm. You know, the first time I went back home and I rented a car, it felt good. I was like, oh my God, I miss my driving. And I got on I-4 and I was like, oh, I'm good. I don't want to drive in that traffic again. People driving crazy. I'm driving 75 and you kind of tell getting like I'm not going fast enough. Mm-mm. And they drive crazy here too. You're welcome. Yeah. Much success. God willing, I'm planning to visit Panama in 2026. Yes, you should be excited. Panama is a beautiful country. You know, we just had a program. We have a very young mayor here in the city. He must be in his 30s. He's a millionaire. And I think he owns a dealership where they sell the electric cars. And he has one of those futuristic looking, Elon Musk looking kind of cars. But he's very, of course, he's got thousands of Instagram followers. I'm not on Thread, not on TikTok, and I don't plan on getting on any of those. But he was able to get a show here called Premios Nuestros, which is something they usually have it in Miami and other places. And they came here and they showed out. It was just an amazing. People come in. It's good for the economy. You know, it's good for tourism, and it put Panama on the map. Because when you think Panama, you think the polleras, you know, with the skirts and the head. I'm gonna get myself a picture in a pollera. I am. Conservative dress, yes. Yeah, I wear these long skirts, and listen, ladies, I got them in like four different colors. I think I paid $2.99 a piece. And I wear some shorts underneath in case the wind blows, so I'm good. And then shirts are like $3 a piece. Listen, you don't. That's why I tell people, do not bring 5 suitcases worth of clothes here. You clog in your closet. You don't need that. It's so hot here. You want to be comfortable in your home. When you go out, you probably wear the same thing over and over because you want to be comfortable. And then, like tonight, I'm going to an event. You may have one or two pieces that you wear at night. But again, you still have to be comfortable. Do not bring your stuff. I know, I went through it. I had my suit and I was like, oh, I don't want to get rid of it. I even bought a sweater here. I've never used it. I have some light wraps. Sometimes if I'm sitting on the patio in the evening, the wind might be blowing, I might put one around. I'm talking very light. And I can go to Conway, one of our stores, and I'm buying one of those wrap for like $2.99, $3.99. Listen, your bras are about the same price. Your shirts are like $3. You can go crazy. But that's the thing. It's so cheap that you are tempted to just buy. And then I'm saying, next week I'm going to go into the declutter again because I look down and I'm like, why do I have 12 pairs of sandals? I don't need them. In the city, if I'm going to go out, most of the time I have tennis shoes because you're going to protect your feet. Don't try to be cute. You are a seasoned sister. I know you go get your toes done, but if you're gonna walk, if you're gonna take the Uber back and forth, great. But if you're gonna walk, make sure you have comfortable, safe shoes because those sidewalks are dangerous. There's always broken glass and God knows what. Do you know if there is a peritoneal dialysis hospital clinic support for prospective patient? If you're going to stay in the city, I think if you go to some of the clinics, yes. But in the interior, I do hear sometimes that some hospital run out of supplies. They have had people protesting because the dialysis machines don't work. But if it's peritoneal dialysis that you're doing yourself at home, okay, let me reframe that. If you have a condition that requires some ongoing treatment, I recommend that you do a consultation call to a physician like Dr. Duncan that everybody here pretty much knows. And then he's well connected, he speaks English, and he will tell you if the treatment or the medication is something you can find in Panama. Some people end up going to Colombia because it's so close to us to get certain medications or procedures done. But with the peritoneal dialysis, you just want to make sure you can get the solution. So when you have conditions like that, you must stay in the city to be on the safe side. Okay. This week there were a couple of things I did not even mention on the Facebook page about some things happening in some hospitals and in the interior. Be careful. Be careful. If you have a condition, you need to stay in the city. Okay, that's my advice. Hola, Maggie. Thank you so much, Claire. Altina, you counting down the days? Wonderful. Yes, I-4. Oh my God. I was on I-4. I was on the Turnpike, Florida Turnpike. The day I decided to retire, I was in traffic for 2 hours. And I looked in the rearview mirror, I looked to the right, looked to the left, and I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this. And that's what I did. I said, I'm too old. I don't have to go to that place where I was going. It was an hour and a half, and then in traffic for 2 hours, and I got to see my patient, and I have to drive back in it, taking my life in my hand, and then spend hours doing my notes. I was done. I'll be in Panama from November 18 to December 18. That's a whole month. That's great. I hope to catch some of the holiday festivities when I'm there. Well, in Panama, we start the festivities in November. November, they observe the two Independence Days. Independence from Spain, and then separation. Somebody corrected me. Separation from Colombia, and they have other holidays in there. Now, Panama itself does not celebrate Thanksgiving, of course, nothing to do with them, and a lot of us don't anymore. But we do get together, and I still want to cook a turkey this year. But December, yes, they have a holiday early. Mother's Day is on December 8th, which is my son's birthday. We're going on a retreat for that. And then you have Christmas and New Year's, lots of fireworks. Panama loves fireworks. It's like, the Chinese influence is strong. And of course, in Panama, la música. If you don't want to hear music, stay away around the holidays because the music be popping. And when the music is popping, I'm talking about till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so bring your earplugs because in the city, it could be anywhere, and you're gonna see fireworks on this side, fireworks on that side, and you don't need a permit. You can shoot fireworks for your birthday parties, your christening, your first communion, anything, fireworks. I was sitting in my bedroom one time and I jumped out of it. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. I heard this boom, boom, and I'm like, oh my God, we're being attacked. And I looked, it was fireworks. I'm like, who does fireworks at 5 o'clock in the morning? They were celebrating Chinese New Year. That's Panama for you. Is there a hospital or clinic support for people? Oh, you asked me that. Dialysis. San Francisco expensive to live? I don't think so. It's reasonable to find places to rent. Yes. There is no shortage of the inventory is there. Now, although there is a sister who kept telling me she was having a hard time, and I could not understand why she was having a hard time finding an apartment. And remember, ladies, you can have your list of what you want, but don't be too rigid about everything. I think it's hard to find everything you want in an apartment. There might be some things you don't like. Like my apartment didn't have a television, and I'm like to the lady, I'm like, you don't have one TV? I just look an apartment. They had a TV in every room. She's like, do you need one? I'm like, of course I need one. Of course I'm not a TV watcher, but I have the news on all the time, and So she bought a TV. Then I went into one of the bedrooms. I had the bed. There was nothing else. There was no, they don't have chest of drawers like we have at home. They don't have that. They have the armoire type of closet that's in the wall. They have that a lot here, and and she didn't have one. I'm like, well, I need one for that room if people come to visit, and she put one in there. So you can work with your people, your owners, to as long as it's reasonable, right? But I don't think I've met too many people who said they had trouble finding an apartment here. Now we are in the rainy season. It's usually low. Not as many people here, even though from what I see, people are coming here all the time. But when you come high season, that's like December to like May, that's when the inventory might be a little bit less because you have more people coming in. But that's usually the Airbnbs, not an apartment, right? I will be in PC October 4th to October 18th, meeting with my lawyer for 5 days. Ooh, 5 days. Then we'll be exploring on my own. Good, good. Greta, 3 suitcases to Mexico. The coolest day was 70 degrees, but every day was 100 because she was in Merida. Merida is a hot spot. I got down to 1 suitcase. I live in one unless, I brought 3 and I wish I had brought 1. So I think what I'm going to do when I declutter, I'm going to go down, 5 of this, 5 t-shirts, 5 this, 5 that, and then donate the rest of it and go down to 1 suitcase. Because I want to be able to move if I need to fast. I don't want to be weighted down with 3 suitcases. I'm going to go down to 1. Yeah. Lynette, okay. Amy, good for you, Maggie, for retiring early, so sensible to put health and wellness priority. Yeah, of course. Listen, if we want to live a very active, healthy life, you got to take that, very seriously. Yeah. And I also caution people that when you come here, and I know my friend Andrea is watching, that just because you come to Panama and your stress level is down doesn't mean you ditch your medication, okay? So you still need to make sure you pay attention to your blood pressure, your blood sugar, and everything else. And, with my cooking show on Sundays, I kept doing things to kind of please the audience. But now I've made a decision. I'm going to stick to my whole food plant base and just add some fish once in a while because last week we did that soup and they had some meat in there. It just tore me up. Once you go whole food plant based, you clean your system out. When you reintroduce some stuff in, your body talks to you. So it's not worth it. So I'm gonna stick to my whole food plant based. And I can come up with recipes like that. December 8th is my birthday. Oh my God, that's my son's birthday. That is Mother's Day here in Panama. Hawaiians love fireworks too. I don't know what it is about fireworks. I mean, they're okay, but oh my God, they love fireworks. But at the same time, some children get hurt every year. They get burned. It doesn't blow up the same way, or it takes a different route. I don't know. But they go in the hospital, and you see the kids, because I don't think they're very regulated here. As you can buy them everywhere. So yeah. Yeah, I'm sticking to whole food plant based because when I cook on Sundays, whatever I cook, I eat the rest of the week. So I was like, it took me like days to get my stomach back. I'm like, oh no, not worth it. Nope. How is the Obarrio neighborhood? Very nice. Is it as busy as El Congrejo? Pretty much because it's close to downtown. Yeah, I look at El Congrejo. Sometimes I think maybe I want to move, but I was like, I don't know that I'm going to find an apartment better than this one. And also, unless the owners decide to sell, right? Because sometimes they say, well, I have a buyer, then they give you so long to find another place. That might be a reason. Um, and I've had my two-bedroom, two-bath here for the longest time. I went home in February and nobody had been here. My family come to visit. And I told them, I said, listen, if I leave in December, which is when my lease is up, and nobody's been here, next time you come, you're gonna have to do the Airbnb thing. Well, I've had three sets of visitors since. So I think Obarrio, Marbella, Bella Vista, El Congrejo is a little bit unique. It's more bohemian, but like I was telling the sister yesterday, the buildings are kind of old, and there's always a risk. They've had fires in the building, so and then all the buildings pretty much use gas. So anything that has to do with gas leaks or somebody forgetting something on the stove, so there's always that to consider. So that's why I tell the sisters, make sure, and we do something here every 3 years, every PH, which is the building, the multi-story building, the Los Bomberos, the fire department, they have to do a top to bottom inspection, gas inspection. And when they do that, they shut off the gas. So however long it takes them to inspect every apartment, and if they find things that need to be fixed, they take time to fix it. So sometimes you out of gas for like weeks. And I was telling the sister yesterday, I said one thing people should tell you is that when you rent an apartment in a building that uses gas, you need to invest in some hot plates, two or three burner hot plates, so that when they shut off the gas, you can cook something and not depend on just microwave or eating out, because you're not going to have hot water, no anything gas powered is out for that time. I don't know about your laundry. Good question. But my building is all electric, which is another reason I like it here. Mm, Hawaiians are far. Yeah, yes, man. You take the whole. Yep. How is your barrio? I answered that. Did you consider Colombia for retirement? I did not, and I wish I had, because there's a sister who lives there and she absolutely loves it. She's also from Florida and she's a retired person. She bought an apartment in the mountains, and mm, I have I have not even visited Colombia, and it's very close to here. But no, I did not. I think Mexico is probably the only country I never even considered, but I would consider Colombia and any of the South American. I've been to Chile a couple of times, and I absolutely adore Chile. I went to Peru this year. I really like Peru, especially because of the gastronomy. The food there, OMG. Do you know that the 2020, was it 24 or 23, Restaurant of the Year was in Peru, and they do something to their soups and their broth, and everything was stellar when I was there. I would move there just because of the food, but the culture, everybody in Peru is like this big, so this tall. They're very indigenous, and you kind of stick out more. So that's why in Panama you kind of blend in, and we love Panama for that. And the food here in Panama is so varied. It's a lot of Caribbean influence because of the Caribbean Afro-Panamanians here. Heavy influence in the food and the culture from Africa. Chinese influence. I don't dislike Chinese food. I don't like all that soy sauce they use because it makes me swell, but I like the freshness of how they cook. Spanish, I'm not a fan. So the food is not bad. People talk about Panama as being a foodie place because we have every type of cuisine here that you want. Okay, if you go in the city, you go to San Francisco. I mean, Vietnamese, South Korean, Mexican, Dominican, Colombian, because Panama used to be part of Colombia, so the foods are similar. Heavy meat, lots of rice, everything's fried. Yes, we have that in common. But you have lots of choices. You don't have to eat fried food all the time. But that fried fish and patacones, I ask for forgiveness. I'm eating it. I don't care what they say. Once a month. I allow myself once a month. If I missed the answer, I apologize. Is your book out, Relocating to Panama? I have an ebook. The relocation ebook is out. You can find the link to Stripe on the YouTube channel. And I'm just trying to finish the relocation guide. The guide is the nitty gritty of the how to's. This relocation guide takes you when you're in the beginning, so you can do that prep work as to, am I ready? Should I do this? How are my finances? Do I have anything that kind of hold me there? This is that first step. That one is out. And then the resource guide is going to be next. And then I'm going to be doing my cooking ebook. And then I have another one in the works too. I'm retired. What is that? I love being busy. I love having projects. Hi, Maggie. Good afternoon. Do you know any good, not too expensive Airbnbs to stay at for at least a month? I don't know when you say not too expensive, because when you go on Airbnb and you look at an area like El Congrejo or San Francisco, those are probably the most affordable you're going to find. But I caution people not to be looking at just the cost, right? And not to look at the pictures, because the pictures many times do not tell the whole story. So ask people, like myself, where can you look at? Because I remember when I came here that last time, I stayed on Balboa, which is the same street where I live, but there is a big building where they have Airbnbs, and it was like 70 some dollars a night. And that's a good price to me to have a 2 bedroom, 2 bath, oceanfront unit, for a month. And you have to agree to spend the money, because I see people going to something that may be $30 a night. Listen, you get what you pay for, sis. If you're gonna pay $30 a night, it's like ding ding ding. How clean is that place? These people would go, this lady came with her son and she texts me, oh, I need help, I need help. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, well, I went into this place and it's moldy. She got mold and she got breathing difficulties. You don't want to put yourself in that situation, okay? Read the reviews and ask for advice as to where to stay, and look at it as an investment, not look at just costs, okay? Of course, if you're going to stay for a month, I would say don't choose a hotel, because that per night is going to add up. But for Airbnb, they're going to give you one price. And sometimes you can get a discount. Right now, you're going to get a discount. If you're coming in December, probably not, because that's when it's a high season and it's a holidays, right? What is that? Wow, look at that. What did I do to deserve that? Ah, is your book? Oh, you talked about that already. I would like to purchase it. Okay. Um, Stephanie Perry has just rented what looks like an amazing apartment in Bogota. Yes, you would have been Stephanie's neighbor. Yes, and the other thing that Stephanie did, she bought health insurance. She said it's going to cost her $18 a year. That's probably one reason to consider Colombia over Panama if you're over 65. The insurance situation is not good here if you're over 65, and especially if you say, oh, I don't want to change my Medicare, I want to keep my Medicare. If you want to keep your Medicare and then you get sick here in Panama, you got to pay. Okay? And it's a whole story about how difficult it is if you're over 65. They consider that you are a high risk patient. And if you have had anything as a diagnosis, they consider it a pre existing condition. And your choices are you can buy an international plan for like Cigna or Aetna, and they're going to charge you over $1,000 a month. I don't know who can afford that. I know I couldn't. They have a program here called MiniMed that has been touted for like if you have a chronic illness of diabetes and you need regular lab work, or if you get a sniffle, you get the flu, you can go. And from what I hear, I'm not the one pushing it, but they're saying you have this sister says she had an ultrasound, you can have x-rays, you can have labs, you can see your doctor. That program is good for like after hours if you needed to see a doctor. But there are other doctors. Dr. Duncan will give you IVs now. You know, IVs are big. And this sister said the doctor gave her an infusion. She had inflammation and she felt better. Anyway, I'm not into all that. But we pay out of pocket for regular go to see the doctor, get your teeth clean, your eyes, blah, 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 or your women's wellness. We pay out of pocket. The biggest thing here in Panama is if you get into an emergency, you need something major done. If you don't have coverage, you got to whip up your credit card and they're going to charge. They put a hold on your credit card before they start treating you. And when they finish, when you're ready to discharge, and they itemize everything and they're going to charge the rest to your card. So you got to think about that. Now, what I heard from Colombia is that once you get your residency, you are eligible to enroll in the general national health program, which is great. We don't have that here. Okay. So if you have any kind of medical condition that requires and actually Colombia is known as a destination for what do they call that? Medical tourism. You know, people go there to have like a hip replacement or a knee or stuff like that, and they're very well versed in, you know, Americans are bilingual. So I think Colombia is a good place to look at for seniors. Of course, they're getting an influx of retirees like we are. And they do have a nice Afro community if you're a person of color. Lots of culture in Colombia. And the food is pretty similar to here. So, when is the best time to visit Panama? I say it's always the best time to visit Panama, but the rainy season, you might get rained in sometime. Like yesterday, it rained for hours, but after about 3 hours, the sun was out. So I think it's anytime is a good time. Are you doing part 2 YouTube class? Lord, I don't know my hang up with starting what? Time? I just purchased the ebook but did not receive the link. Okay. Well, when did you buy it? Because I usually send it really quickly once I see that the payment has been done to Stripe. As soon as you do that, yeah, $18 a year. That's not bad for health insurance, right? but I think she just turned 50. And I tell people, if you're coming to Panama and you're not 65, come here and get a plan and lock it in. All right. Did you ever mention anything about wellness spas? Well, they have lots of spas here. For my birthday, I went to one, had a nice massage. They do have some wellness spas here. Yeah, Panama is a metropolitan city. You have almost everything here. We love your videos, gracias, which you just discovered in August. We're in Panama now. Oh, wow. For a few weeks, where can we find reasonable department stores for men and women's clothing in the Pueblo Nuevo? Pueblo Nuevo? You go to Metro Mall. Metro Mall has an indoor mall and an outdoor mall, lots of stores. But our favorite stores in Panama, I'm going to put them down. Conway is, they say it's like Target. They say it's owned by Target. So if you go to any mall, you're going to see Conway. There is Teton. People come from the Caribbean, Dubai. Very cheap, Teton. Then there is El Costo. There is what's that one? I forgot. El Costo, and then one that is really cheap is Oca Loca. Oh, El Campeon. That's another one. El Campeon. So you can find things very reasonable in those stores. And they are all over Panama. Okay. Pueblo Nuevo. Yeah, I can see that area. I walked that area one time. You can get reasonable. Oh, there's somebody. Somebody wrote that El Costo. Yeah, all these stores that I mentioned. Conway is my favorite. And there's Teton, El Costo, Ocaloca, El Campeon. See, very reasonable and nice looking. You know that. I'm not talking about junk. No. Patricia, Andrea, oh my goodness. I miss you ladies. I was seeing that they have when I'm in Orlando, there is an Asian store that they had upgraded it. And I always go there to get a fish that I love called pompano fish. Of course, I can't find that here. And they had new owners, and they had revamped the stores. Every time you go there, you're gonna have to wait to find a parking spot. It was so busy. And then they said there's another H something store that they just opened in on Colonial Drive in Orlando, and the lines and people were in line for hours, and that store be popping. Yeah, people love Asian stores because they carry everything, fresh fish. They even have a bakery, and then they have a hot food area where you can buy the fresh duck with fried rice and yeah. So they're just doing really good business. Many small Caribbean islands send their people to Colombia for major procedures. There you go. That is true. Yeah, Colombia is definitely big on medical tourism. People go there to get surgeries done. I know people from the US do that. There's a sister here who needed some kind of back surgery, and she came here because her doctors in Miami wouldn't touch her, and they did it for her here. Because most of our doctors here have trained in the US or in Colombia or in Cuba, and a lot of them are bilingual. So people are not too concerned about the quality of care. I think what you worry about is the facility that you're going to have the procedure in. So be careful, because I heard some news this week here, but it can be a little When I was in the Asian market last week, they had a whole pig. Woo. Around the holidays here, we have pierna de cerdo. They do a thigh of a leg like a ham, but it's fresh, which is what the Panamanians cook here for the holidays. Pierna de cerdo. And I remember when I was in Barcelona, and I went to this place, they call La Boqueria, and then in the glass, they had the little pig head. Oh my God, it freaked me out. But here they have the big head at the meat store, meat market too. And then in Peru they cut the head, put it in the soup. And I'm like, I draw the line at certain things. And even though I'm a cook, there's certain things I don't do. I don't eat foie gras. I'm not eating fried fat. I'm not eating that. I'm not eating brain. I'm not eating any of that stuff. No. I didn't even have ceviche. And I'm like, I don't eat raw fish. Did you consider Southeast Asia? No. Mm-mm. When I was researching Africa, I mean, Africa was really high on my list after I got COVID in 2020. I went to Africa in 2021. So when I was going there, I was looking at a lot of African places. I'm a French speaker, so I looked at West Africa, Togo, Senegal. Of course, I speak Spanish, so South Africa, Kenya, and all of those. And when I was going to the Peace Corps, my original assignment was going to be Madagascar, and it fell off. And then at that time, I was looking at Mauritius, but no, I did not. Seychelles, where they speak French and a Creole. Um, I don't think I want to be in the middle of the Indian Ocean anywhere. They have a lot of bad weather things that happen. And in Mauritius, life was pretty expensive. So I did not seriously consider that. But Kenya, yeah, I could see myself considering Kenya, um, Tanzania. Tanzania gives me pause because it's very strongly Muslim and very conservative. And I mean, even though I dress conservatively, but I'm not like that in my mind. So I might get in trouble for my way of thinking in some of these places. And ladies, I'll tell you what, every place is that you're considering to retire, depending on your age. When I went to Ghana, I was looking to see if I could do some business there, but I'm looking at the mentality of the people, the way they look at life, and I was like, oh, that is so different. And if I were in my 40s and I had like 20, 30 years down the line, I think I might consider it. But because I am here in this season, I'm going toward the end. I did not want too many challenges of where I would have to adjust to too many things. I don't know if that makes sense. And that's why so far Panama makes sense, right? Because the weather is familiar to me, the food is familiar to me. I speak Spanish, so I don't feel stressed about that. They use the dollar. I never considered the location and it being so close. But going to Africa was like a 16-hour trip one way. I mean, that's a long trip. And going to Asia is even further. Right now, I'm not. I don't know later on if something happens here, if I would. I never say never. I always leave myself open to anything, and I can adjust. I love the food in Asia. I think I would love the friendliness of the people, but I would feel some kind of way because you don't see people who look like you guys, right? So to me, that's important, right? Yes, I love Panama. Namibia has 51% female. So in Rwanda as well. But Namibia has those sand deserts, and then I don't like the heavy German influence there. That did not sit well with me. So, in fact, I was watching the president talk. Was it Namibia or was it what's the other one? They have one close to them there. Yeah, sometimes I think the acculturation, getting used to the culture, might be a bit much, and it doesn't matter if it's in Africa or not. It's different, okay? So you're gonna have to look at all that. And in Rwanda, they have a lot of women in their government too. Hmm. Pig heads. Whew, no. Mm-mm. No, 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 no. No, I did not consider Southeast Asia. I'd love to visit, but I don't know if I want to. I want to live there. I still want to go to South Korea and China, and Vietnam, and what's the other one? Thailand. I'm not looking forward to going to Thailand, but I do want to go to China. They normally put out the biggest fishes and crabs on ice displays in most supermarkets. They always look freshly caught. Yeah, yeah. But here in Panama, we're right on the ocean. When you go to the fish market there, the boats come in every day. So you know it's coming fresh. Thank you, Greta. Oh, Greta. That question is for Greta. Any other questions, you guys? But anyway, we're still happy here in Panama, looking forward to the holidays and just, enjoying life, taking it one day at a time, trying not to stress about everything that's happening around us and, with our families, and trying to keep our worry to a minimum, because if it's outside of your control, what can you do, right? So self care is important, ladies, not just the exercise and the eating, but the meditation. Japan, oh yeah. I met someone the other day. She's here. She packed up, I think she had a dog and she came. She said she lived in Japan for like 10 years. She taught English. And then, again, my question was, did you ever think of retiring there? I don't remember what her question was, but she's in Panama. Yes, I'd love to visit Japan too, just for the food. I want to go do a food tour, and I want to do a tea. They're big on teas. I'd love to have a class on the tea culture. You know, and again, that's a place that I don't think I could live there, but I certainly want to visit. I'm so respectful of every place's culture. I remember when I landed in Accra in Ghana, I was like, "Oh, I can't believe I'm here." I said the same thing when I landed in the UK in England. I was like, "Oh, I can't believe I'm here." I'm very curious and I love to visit different places, but I don't think I'd want to live too many places. So Panama is special for me for that reason. Next trip to Jeju Island, yes, I would love to go to Jeju. Yes, I want to learn how to make some good kimchi. I love kimchi. Fermented food is supposed to be good for you nowadays. Vietnam, Da Nang, Hawaii, yeah, Thailand. I just want to do Vietnam, and then I want to do, of course, China and South Korea, and then that would be it for me. I don't have any desires to go, anywhere else. Like Egypt. Egypt is Africa, but I don't have any desire to go there. Eastern Africa, probably just Kenya and Tanzania to visit, Zanzibar, but I don't know if I could live there. Age is important. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Can you adjust? Can you speak the language? And how safe would you feel as a single older person? Because you are my audience. I'm not talking about families because that's not my audience. I don't know anything about. My daughter was here, and I told her, I said, I think Panama is great for to retire, but I don't know that it's such a good place for younger people. Sometimes I see in the Facebook group, they're like, well, do they have groups for 30, 40 somethings? And some people say yes. We have internations here, but I'm kind of in a bubble that I'm just considering, what works for older people because I came here so I can age in place. That's my number one reason. It's not just the weather, the food. I came here with a purpose, okay? So I'm still laser focused on that. because I don't want to end up in a nursing home in the US, nor can you afford to pay people to take care of you when you get old, because we're getting old. And when you get old, you're going to need some help. And I can tell you that because I used to own a home care company. And the things that people go through trying to get people to come and get you up and feed you, no bueno. So it can be a challenge. So here, like next week, I'm meeting with a nurse here. We met at an event and she said, I'm a nurse. And I'm like, oh, that's great. So we're going to have dinner next week so I can pick her brain. How does it work? Because the nursing, the way we do nursing over there is not the same way they do it here. And I don't think they have the LPN, RN type of model. And Andy, you'd want to know that they're not big on advanced practice nurses here either. Everybody wants to see the doctor. And they say proudly, oh, you get to see the doctor, not the nurse. I'm like, what about the nurse practitioner? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. Anything else, you guys? Any other question? Burning question? Rainy season has been rainy here. We have had lots of rain. And yesterday I was watching the news. We had some landslides, people getting cut off from, water, electricity, trees down. The government has to come and help them out. Some buildings were leaking. Some station, I don't know if it was a metro, had water, but and I'm like, I saw that in New York City too, so don't think it only happens in Panama. The weather can really cause all kinds of issues for a country with kind of a fragile infrastructure. Okay. So we deal with it, and then the next day it's beautiful again, and we love it like that. Hola. Oh, Nana. How are you, Nana? Yeah, I was just telling him how wonderful Colombia is. See, Nana, who's in the chat, she lives in Colombia. And she is also on YouTube and she does lots of videos about how much she loves Colombia. Yeah. Yes. And anything else, you guys? I have an event to go to tonight. I don't go out very often, so I'm like, how long? How long is it, and how late am I going to stay there? Because my eyes are going to start shutting down pretty soon, especially after I've had wine. Goodness. All right, guys. If there are another question, hour and 37 minutes. I cared for my parents through the end. Oh, that's commendable. I took care of my mom too, but I don't think to the end. You need to come visit. Yeah, you need to come visit Nana. Nana lives in the mountains and she's got a beautiful view. She keeps showing it. It's so nice. Fax you the wine. Oh my God. I told you you need to work on that. What do you call those things that fly in the up there? What do you call that? I forgot. But you know what I mean. You need to get one of those for me to send the stuff to you. Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna listen to some 70s, 80s music or whatever. I don't usually do that, but I'm going with like I think 11 of us from our group are going. Just like we're gonna go a retreat for Mother's Day, and we're going to the beach or a beach resort, and there's gonna be 11 of us. So we're just enjoying ourselves. Drones, thank you. Yes, you need to create a drone that I can send you the food and the wine and everything else that you want, Greta. You're welcome, Lynette. And guys, I'm always available to answer questions if you have them. And like I said, I am trying to do 2 videos a week now, where on Mondays I kind of teach you about some things, and then on Thursday it's just about me and my life here. I think it's time for me to go get my cough drop. I enjoy seeing you guys. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye. Have a good weekend. Have a great evening. Uh-oh.